Well, hello and welcome to the Informed Traveler Podcast, a weekly travel podcast where our goal is to help you become a more informed traveler. And I'm your host, Randy Sharman. Have you ever used AI to plan out a vacation itinerary? Sounds simple, doesn't it? You just input where you want to go, what you want to see, and when, and poof, in seconds, you have your vacation all planned out. Well, it turns out that itinerary may be full of errors. So in a few seconds, travel expert Onanta Forbes will join me to share the pitfalls of AI itineraries. And then David Yeskel, the cruise guru, will join us to give us his review of his recent 12-day sailing on Regent Seven Seas Grandeur through Scotland and Wales. But first, let's kick things off chatting with travel expert Onanta Forbes, who joins us each week to discuss some of the travel news and travel trends. You can follow her adventures on Instagram, Facebook, and X at Onanta Forbes. OnantaForbes.com is her website. Hello, Onanta.
Hi, Randy. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Interesting write-up by Christopher Elliott. Elliott Confidential is his newsletter, which I subscribe to, and ElliotConfidential.com is where you can find it. But he always has interesting topics, and I found this very interesting, where AI-generated itineraries are not necessarily what they're cracked up to be.
And it's a timely article because AI and ChatGPT, there's so many different avenues that consumers can look at and research, thinking that they're going to get the best advice ever. But but not always, right?
Not always.
I think AI is good to brainstorm ideas and maybe compile options. But you have to keep in mind that it also could suggest hotels, restaurants, and attractions that no longer exist, have changed hours or closed. So it's only as good. I always say this of the internet. It's only as good as the information you put in. So the broader you are, the broader it will be. So you might even have to narrow it down a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to consider pricing accuracy. So flights, hotel, activity prices may not be up to date, and AI can't always guarantee real-time rates. And that goes with like seat sales, or if you go on a different day, is it a better price, right? Or a different time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also and this is becoming really important. Immigration, customs, or health requirements may be oversimplified or wrong, and these need to be confirmed with the official sources. And you can see that right now, going to different destinations. Like in October, Europe is definitely changing some of their entry and exit regulations and guidelines. So you have to be up to date on that as well. So I think it's good to do the research. And I'm kind of saying this in the middle of our conversation. And I'll say it again. You might want to start with AI, but finish with humans like your travel advisor, because they know what's going on. The other thing you have to kind of look at is it may not be tailored to your specific interests. It may be overly, they may suggest like overly tourist activities. So if you are an upscale traveler, you might not want to have a group departure or a group activity. And then AI may not always like catch all the local holidays or events and seasonal closures that might affect your plan. So keep that in mind, as well as there's special requirements like for individuals, like maybe dietary, mobility, special needs, or language may not be fully addressed. So keep that in mind as well. Now, some AI powered travel tools may favor certain partners or providers, limiting your options. And that could be because of advertising dollars thrown at certain sources, right? So keep that in mind as well. And then recommendations may not always respect cultural sensitivities or highlight authentic local experiences. So there's lots to think about. And if you rely too much on AI, lack of internet / like data abroad can leave you stranded without access to your plans. So it may not seamlessly link with booking systems or loyalty programs or even travel insurance. So lots of things to consider in the overall. But I was playing with it, and as a travel advisor, you always want to know what your clients are looking at,
Uh-huh.
and it can be quite slick and it can be quite compelling. But
Mm-hmm.
again, you it will tell you only what you put in. So I always like this quote: "You don't know what you don't know," right?
I was
So
just going to
don't.
say that. You don't know what you don't know. So if you don't put in the right information, you're never going to know.
Right. That's it. So some best practices when using AI for travel is cross-check your details, like with official sources. And hopefully you will end up working with a travel advisor because they will know the right direction
Mm-hmm.
to guide you. And as per your budget and as per who you are as a person and your travel preferences. Um, yeah, and using AI for inspiration and rough planning is good, but confirm the bookings directly with your travel agent or your provider, and you pair it, as we said, with trusted human input. So some of the do's are some of that, and then also check recent reviews, right? People like to do that right today. They like to
Mm-hmm.
see what TripAdvisor has to say, or
Yeah.
different like Monarch and so on. Um, but don't rely on AI for real time pricing because fares like airfares and hotel rates change constantly.
Yeah.
Um, and don't assume all recommendations are safe or verified. Some listed may be outdated or fraudulent. And don't overlook local content, like as far as hotels, festivals, seasonal closures may not show up. And be careful about sharing sensitive information, like avoid entering your passport or your credit card details into
Yeah.
untrusted tools. And AI won't remind you about travel insurance, but protection is essential. Like protect yourself, protect your travelers, protect your financial investment.
Mm-hmm, for sure. It's funny some of the things the things that you mentioned are in his article too. You can start with AI, use that as a starting point to give you some ideas, and end up with getting a human to check all the errors. And this goes back. It says, Christopher Elliott is quoting the SEO travel company. It's a UK digital marketing agency, and they put AI to the test and found that 90% contained at least one error. Nearly 1 in 4 recommended permanently closed restaurants or attractions, and over half suggested visiting places outside their operating hours. So yeah, it's full of bad information, basically. So you got to take it with a grain of salt, and like you were saying too. Use it as a starting point. And it is kind of cool. Like like you said, you just put in the information and seconds later, bang, you've got yourself, Monday you're doing this, Tuesday you're doing that, Wednesday you're doing that. And it's all planned out for you, but it may be a really poorly devised plan.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't think, yeah, travel's a very personal experience. It's emotional, right? So you want to make sure that you have what you're looking for, um, uh, booked for you and planned for you and within your budget. So that's why you do need that human touch.
Mm-hmm, for sure. The article is Why the Brave New World of AI Travel Planning is Already Broken by Christopher Elliott. You can find it on his website, elliottconfidential.com, and his newsletter, Elliott Confidential. It's a great newsletter. I love it. To get all kinds of good advice from it. I know you can get all kinds of good advice from Onanta Forbes, too. She is a travel expert. You can follow her on Facebook, Instagram, and X at Onanta Forbes. Her website is onantaforbes.com. Good stuff, Onanta.
All right, always good to talk to you.
This is the Informed Traveler Podcast. I'm Randy Sharman. Just want to remind you of our website, theinformedtraveler.org. That's where you can find our contact page if you have any questions or comments about the podcast. You can also email me too with any show segment ideas you might have or any questions. My email address is randy@theinformedtraveler.org. And you can check out our social media pages too at facebook.com/informedtraveler, Instagram @informedtraveler, or on X @informedtraveler. That's where you can find a number of videos and reels on our visit to Charleston a few weeks ago and posts from our other adventures as well. Plus, you can now sign up for our monthly newsletter. It's released at the beginning of every month. Our October issue is now available. Just go to our website, theinformedtraveler.org, click on the newsletter button, and it'll take you right there. Or better yet, you can subscribe to it and have it arrive in your inbox each month. Well, we always enjoy having David Yeskel, the cruise guru, on as a guest. He always has great insight and advice on cruising. And his latest adventure was a 12-day sailing on Regent Seven Seas Grandeur through Scotland and Wales. And David joins us now to share his experience. You can follow him on X @cruiseguru, and his website is oceancruise.guru. Hi, David.
Hey, Randy.
It's been a while since we chatted, and I always like following you and your adventures on X. Recently, you were on board the Regent Seven Seas Grandeur, which was, according to your notes, started in Amsterdam. Little 12-day tour of Europe. But let's start where the cruise started in Amsterdam.
Yeah, sure. So, it'd been about probably 25 years since I'd been in Amsterdam, and just it was great rediscovering the city. It has so much to offer. Just even for 2 or 3 days, I'd say maybe 3 days, you can pretty much get everything in. I only had 2 days, but cruising through the canals, visiting the Anne Frank House, world-class museums, of course, like the Rijksmuseum with the Rembrandts and the Van Gogh Museum. Eating the local foods, I like to do a street food tour wherever I am. So I looked at what tour was available, was for sale on Get Your Guide or the tour guide. And I just recreated it myself by going to the same outdoor food market that the tour goes to and had, all the favorites like frites, stroopwafels, pea soup, Dutch pancakes, and lots of herring. There's herring in every kind of form and preparation you could think of. but great city overall. I mean, the red light district is like nothing else in the world. That's the only city that has something like that. Just English is widely spoken. The city's super safe and very easy to get around using mass transit or Uber. So I certainly recommend Amsterdam for, 2 or 3 day visit.
Mm-hmm. And then you boarded the Regent Seven Seas Grandeur, 12 days. Just give us some background on the Regent Seven Seas, and then we'll get into some of the nuts and bolts of it.
Sure. So Regent competes in cruising's top luxury tier. Their primary competitors are Seabourn, Silversea, Crystal, and newer entrant Explorer Journeys. And I can tell you now that I've been on all of those within the last couple of years, they all do a great job. I mean, it's gourmet cuisine, fine service, personalized service, near 1-to-1 crew to passenger ratio. But I can tell you that Regent's ships, especially Grandeur, this newer class of ships, is just drop dead gorgeous. I mean, the decor is beautiful. There's 1,600 pieces of art, original art on the ship. And they even have an art walk built into the app, Regent's app. So we did an art walk around the ship as you would do in a museum, using your phone and headphones, of course, telling you about all the different pieces. So just beautiful. The ship is really, and the public rooms are beautiful. And I was really there to write more about the cuisine, which was excellent. I mean, all the gourmet tip-top dishes you would expect: lobster bisque, Iberico ham, plenty of caviar. They pour great. Their house champagne is a great champagne. They include. They're a little more inclusive than their competition at the top level. So they include all specialty dining, premium alcohol, a few shore excursions in every port, and that's the difference with Regent. So There were about, I'd say, 3 to 4 included shore excursions in every port. And so those were
Wow.
nice. Valet
Yeah.
laundry service included, gratuities are included. So you really don't have to open your wallet, at all typically. And all guests can use the wet area of the spa. That's not always available. Regardless of whether you have a spa appointment booked, you can use the sauna, the wet areas. So it's just a great product. Ships about 750 guests. Like I said, on near 1-to-1 crew to passenger ratio. And from a food and beverage standpoint, which is my focus, just excellent. And they do a great job for the clientele are I'd say primarily baby boomers, upper middle class to upper class
Hmm.
baby boomers from North America. That's their core clientele, or there were people from, all over the world there, but that was the core, at least on this cruise, which was primarily 12 nights through Scotland and Wales.
And we've talked about this before with other cruise lines and just cruising in general, the difference value for dollar. It's not so much always the price tag that you're seeing when
Mhm.
you're going through the booking process, but when you talk about all the things that you're getting, the shore excursions, the specialty restaurants that other cruise lines, and I don't mean to pick on other cruise lines, but
Mhm.
that always gets added on afterwards, and it's almost this sticker shock
Right, right.
at the
That's
end of
true.
your cruise, which is almost the same
Yeah,
price as the cruise itself.
yeah, that's true. And so I think for a luxury product, Regent offers an incredible value proposition. And I would compare it not necessarily to other cruise lines, but to luxury hotels in large cities.
Hmm.
So as an example, I would use in this case is, so I live in the Los Angeles area, as you know, and there's a hotel down the coast, the Montage in Laguna Beach.
Hmm.
And I regularly look at rates there. $1,300 a night is not, unheard of.
Hmm.
Excuse me. And that's just for the room. That's $1,300 a night for the room.
Hmm.
On Regent, and I've seen some fares that start at $650 per person per night, maybe.
Hmm.
So for the same rate, you not only get, a gorgeous accommodations, but service level that you couldn't touch in a shoreside resort.
Hmm.
Very personalized service. All your gourmet dining, premium alcohol, shore excursions, laundry included. So that's the value proposition when you compare really any of the cruise industry's tiers with a land-based resort, but
Hmm.
especially on the luxury end, I think the difference is even more vast and more pronounced. So for people who are used to traveling at that level, the Regent's fares are really a great value proposition.
Hmm. And as you mentioned too, and we've talked about this before as well, is there smaller ships you get to go into different ports of call that the bigger ships can't go into, and thus the itinerary, I think, I'm just guessing here, is what the result of the cruise that you were on.
Yeah, exactly. So we were in almost every port except one. Grandeur was the only ship in port.
Hmm.
So that's an advantage, certainly. And some of these places, these smaller cities, these smaller towns and cities we were in Scotland, like Invergordon or Kirkwall or these smaller cities, can only handle a smaller ship. I mean, we were in larger
Hmm.
cities too, like Edinburgh and Glasgow, but being to get able to get into the smaller ports and discover the smaller towns with,
Hmm.
with all of their intricacies and be able to learn about these smaller places in Scotland was very interesting too.
Yeah, and even in the bigger centers that you're mentioning too, you kind of just blend in. It's not like you have 16 cruise ships and it's cruise ship
Right,
day.
right,
you
exactly,
know, you know what I
exactly.
mean?
No,
And I'm sure
it's
you've
not
seen that
Nassau.
too.
It's not Nassau.
Yeah, right. So
Right.
let's talk
Yeah.
about some of the ports of call. Any favorites or anything that stands out?
Yeah. So I thought Edinburgh had a great feel to it. Fair sized city, a little bit edgy, so that was kind of cool. Great castle. The large castle there is a real attraction. They have a music festival there every summer. We just got in on the tail end of that. It's Edinburgh and Glasgow were both great cities, but I really enjoyed the smaller places like Invergordon, which is
Hmm.
population 1,500 now, and learned about the history there. It was a major World War II port for the Royal Navy, and after the war, the Navy left, the jobs cleared out, and the city kind of hollowed out. And now what's there is this small city that's struggling a little bit to survive, but interesting to see and to learn the history of. And I can say about Scotland, friendly people everywhere, super friendly, beautiful green rolling hills, more sheep than people. and a lot of distilleries and medieval castles. A lot of distilleries are very proud of their single malt whiskey, of course, Scotch,
Hmm.
and the medieval castles are great to tour, and some of them are very intact. So
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
so Scotland has all three of those in abundance: castles, distilleries, and sheep, outnumbering people.
Speaking of the shore excursions, though, just getting back to that briefly, do you have to reserve your spot? I'm assuming you do. There's only so many spaces, so you probably want to do that right away, right?
You do, right? And the shore excursions open up before the sailing starts, so you can get
Hmm.
online and book those. Some do fill up, but what we learned on board is that some people just drop out, and they don't show up, or they cancel their planned excursion once they get on board. So we were shut out of a few when we booked online prior to the cruise.
Hmm.
But after we got on board, even if it was a couple days before, space opened up in some of the excursions that we did want.
Mm,
And
okay.
so we were able to get on those, not even fairly last minute, Mike, with a day or two. And some they advised us, if you just want to show up in the morning, um, half an hour before the excursion begins, where the meeting place was, and
Hmm.
there are always cancellations. And we did that once and got right on. So
Oh, good.
so you
Yeah.
could pretty much get on the free shore excursions. Like I said, there was a few of them. There were a few of them
Hmm.
in each port,
Yeah.
and it wasn't really a problem getting them.
Nice. That's good. Anything else as part of the itinerary?
Yeah, so the itinerary was great, and then we ended up the last day. It was all Scotland, and the last day was Holyhead, Wales, and that was actually the best, the most impressive castle we saw on the whole trip. That was Balmoral Castle, just outside of Holyhead, and that was just this perfectly intact 15th century castle that had never been finished originally. So it was kind of interesting to see from that standpoint.
Mm.
Um, just a nice feel. Scotland and Wales just had a great feel. And then we ended up in Le Havre, France, was our disembarkation point.
Hmm.
And from there, it's about a 2.5 hour drive to Paris, which is where most of the guests went after the cruise.
To fly home from is what I'm
To fly
guessing,
home
right?
from Paris, and most spent a
Yeah.
few
Yeah.
days there. I actually just spent 24 hours there on a really intensive 24 hours in Paris itinerary that I used Gemini. I used Gemini AI to help me plan for it, depending on what we were seeing, what I wanted to see. And I have to
Uh-huh.
say, it did a great job I've often used Gemini when I have a tight timetable and want to
Yeah.
fit in a few things.
Uh-huh.
And it was right on, and with walking directions and from my hotel and where to go first and what to do next. So I certainly recommend people use the AI tools to help plan itineraries especially
Hmm.
when they have a limited time. They are.
And I suppose you added a few days in Amsterdam, but you could probably do the same in Paris if you and really get a nice visit in Europe for a couple of weeks.
Absolutely. You could absolutely do that. So most people did, 2 or 3 days extra in Paris. I had to get back for other business reasons, but um, the 24 hours we saw the Pantheon, and I booked a couple tours too, in addition to that. So we did an evening cruise on the Seine with a Seine cruise first. It was a package from the tour guide. We did the Seine cruise first, and then the guide led us to the Eiffel Tower, and that was we got to the Eiffel Tower at maybe 8:30 p.m.
Hmm.
Um, we had to skip the line past, but it was super quick to get in anyway. Fewer crowds, so I definitely recommend that for Eiffel Tower visit evening. and you do want to skip the line tour, so you pay a little
Mm-hmm.
extra for that.
Yeah.
But the one thing I will mention about Paris and France in general is it's if you happen to be in France on any day that ends in a Y, you're you're likely to run into a demonstration, a labor strike, some kind of shutdown that seemed to happen with regularity in France. So the day we were going to leave, our second day there, the back half of the 24 hours,
Mm-hmm.
there was a social media movement online that was sparked by the walking back of a couple of paid holidays, and so
Oh my.
the social media movement was to quote block everything unquote.
Oh my gosh.
So that
Yeah.
was a little bit of an ominous name for what, depending on what we were trying to do the next morning, which was go to the Louvre for a quick visit of the Louvre on a tour, and then get to the airport in time for our
Yeah.
flight back to LAX. So
So just be aware is what you're
just
saying.
be aware. I mean, we got to the Louvre, we had skipped the line tickets. The Louvre opened 2 hours late that morning because people didn't show up to work there.
Yes.
So we waited 2 hours there, had to do a rushed 1 hour tour of the Louvre, in which we saw almost nothing, and then get back to the hotel and leave early for the airport just because we were concerned there might be intersections that were blocked and it would take longer.
Yeah.
So it messed up the second half of our Paris day, but just have to be aware of that. These happen often in France, and you just have to be aware and plan around them.
David Yeskel is a cruise guru. You can follow him on X at Cruise Guru. His website is oceancruise.guru. It's always fun to chat with you, David. Thank you. Appreciate the time. And that is our show for this week. If you have comments or questions, we'd love to hear from you. If you have a show idea, send that along as well. My email is randy@theinformedtraveler.org. And if you like what you heard, tell a friend. You can check out our website too at theinformedtraveler.org. In the meantime, thanks for listening, travel safe, and be an informed traveler.